Welcome to Leadership Devotionals. We had an interesting story about Deborah, about her victory in our last episode. And today we will continue with the narrative of Deborah, her life as a judge. And if you are blessed with this devotional, don't forget to share it in your timeline. Don't forget to send it to your friends through Messenger. Or if you are watching from our YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can even click the share button and share it to your friends. Because in this series, we are already in the fourth installment. We are talking about woman leaders in the Bible, learning lessons from these woman leaders in the Bible. And so today, we will continue on with our study on the life of Deborah. Deborah is the only judge, the only judge called a prophet in the book of Judges in the Bible. So she is not just only a judge, she is also considered a prophet. And this is mentioned even before naming her husband. She sat in judgment at the Deborah Palm. You can read this in Judges 4 verse 5. Settling disputes. Now this is what I find interesting. Settling disputes that lower courts likely referred to her. She is just one person, but lower courts would refer disputes that they cannot settle. They refer these disputes to Deborah because they were unable to adjudicate this in the lower courts. And so we can somewhat surmise here that Deborah is like the Supreme Court Justice of Israel during her reign as a judge. The recognized political leader of the nation. Yes, she led the armies of Israel to battle, and one of Israel's chief executive officers. Deborah appears in the book of Judges without any apology, without any explanation, or without any suggestion that it was irregular for a woman to fill such a very, very distinctive and important position. You see, during the time in the ancient Near East, we can just imagine the culture during the time wherein only the men were counted, only the men were given high positions of authority. But in the case of Deborah, when she was mentioned in the book of Judges, there was no apology to it. There was no explanation. There was no suggestion of any irregularity. She was just mentioned per se. And that is Deborah, the judge and the prophet in Israel. You know what? The appointment of Sandra Day O'Connor, the first female Supreme Court justice in the history of the United States, elicited so much excitement. For the first time in the history of the United States, a woman Supreme Court justice is sitting in the bar. Yes, it elicited so much excitement. Yet, if you look at the history of Israel at the time of Deborah, we can say that Israel was far advanced in this respect. There was no apology, there was no fanfare, there was no explanation. Deborah just simply became the Supreme Court judge in the land of Israel. Deborah was apparently Chief Justice of their Supreme Court of ancient Israel, a judge to whom the entire Israelite culture turned for legal counsel to settle court cases. Yes, we can read this in Judges 4 verse 5. In addition, she is a political leader through whom God initiates a war, conscripting the able-bodied man, the nation for combat. And it is two women, okay? Two women, Deborah and Jael, rather than Barak, who provided the leadership Israel needs in a time of crisis when they were threatened by Sisera with his 900 chariots. Yes, we have studied about that victory in our last episode. If you have not heard of that episode, you can go back, click on Women in Leadership, number 3, and you will hear on the story of Deborah how the Lord routed the army of Sisera, those 900 iron chariots. The plot of Judges 4 signals the conceptuality of Deborah's predominant status and superior role in leadership in comparison to the other men around her, and of course, especially on Barak. Deborah was the initiator. Yes, he was the one who initiated the conscripting. She was the one who initiated gathering the people, and Barak was the reluctant follower. Deborah is the strategist. Yes, the Lord has commissioned her. The Lord spoke through her. And Barak was the executor. Yes, Barak will only go to war if Deborah comes with him. In Deborah's time, legal duties, military leadership, and prophecy. I repeat that. Legal duties, military leadership, and prophecy were 3 recognized areas of authority. If you do these 3, legal duties, military leadership, and prophecy, these are only on people who are authorized or who has the authority from God. The book of Judges portrays her as serving in all of these 3 roles. For she decides disputes. Remember, a while ago I said she seemed to be the Supreme Court Justice of Israel. Summons people to war, and she is also referred as a prophet. This great mother in Israel, who chants a triumphant hymn of praise, is also a wife and a musician. Biblical history has recorded several female prophets urging God's will to the people of Israelites. Nothing in the biblical text ever suggests that it was a shocking thing for God to do, nor is their service ever criticized as opposed to the divine will of women. And so to God, gender is not an issue. Whether you're a man or a woman, God will empower you. God will give you the authority. God will give you the leadership to lead His people, His chosen people, the Israelites. It's never an issue with God. It has never been hinted as extraordinary that women were chosen by God to communicate His will and to lead in its execution. And so, my fellow leaders, women here in this audience, when we are called by God to lead, God is no respecter of person. Doesn't see whether you're male or female. If you are called by God to lead, lead His people. Here, in the case of Deborah, it is never even hinted as extraordinary that women were chosen by God to communicate His will and to lead His children, the Israelites. These women were clearly accepted by the covenant community, by the people in the role, and blessed by God in their position as leaders. And so to our women leaders who are listening to this, God bless you. God will bless you just like He blessed Deborah. And be courageous in your leadership. Be faithful in your leadership. And deepen that relationship with God. If God can use Deborah to save His children, the Israelites, if God can use Deborah to settle disputes among His children, if God can use Deborah to prophesy, if God can use Deborah to lead, He can also use you to lead His institution, to lead His people, and to lead His work. God bless you. Hello, fellow leaders. If you have been blessed with the devotional that you have just heard, don't forget to like, share, or subscribe. Because when you do that, more people, more leaders will be blessed with the same blessing that you have experienced. In YouTube channel, click subscribe to Good Shepherd Consultants. God bless you.